What's going on, everybody? Been doing some work on my '04 Jaguar X-Type 3.0. Changing out the upper and lower radiator hoses. I've already changed up my sway bar bushings because all of this was like rattling around when I took it all apart. I noticed that my end links, the gas or the little, I guess, gaskets around it were dry rotted, so they were all bad, so I replaced those. I'm just going to go over quick things that you may want to look out for when you're doing this project. When you're changing out your control arms and your bushings, what I did was, well, what I've read on Jaguar Forum, because I lived on there for like the last couple weeks now, just doing research before and during my project. When you're messing with your control arms and your bushings, you gotta lower your subframe some. Yes, it does say you need a special tool for this. So if you want to proceed with this project, that is on, a decision that you're gonna have to make yourself. I went on and made a decision to do it myself. I didn't have any problems and everything seated back to where it originally was. So with that being said, when you lower your subframe, what I did was I took this bolt completely out to see how long it was. Then I ran it back into a certain length to where I knew it would secure everything and hold it all in. So you get both these bolts about even, the same. Then you want to slowly start unloosening this bolt, which I want to say is like a 22 or 21 millimeter, if I'm not mistaken. Take your time with this because you don't want to pull this bolt completely out. What I did was I undid it enough for this plate to come down and rest on the back bolts that I still had in there. There is a little hole that you can see that you can use as a guide. There's a little hole right here where you can see where that main bolt is. But once you get that out, you'll take, let's see, I started with my bushings, popped out the tie rod, popped out the ball joint. That's self-explanatory. If you don't know how to do that, then don't do this project at all. Once you get all those taken out, get this stuff out of your way, because if you lift this up and out of your way, you'll have more access to work back there without damaging anything else up under here. So what I did was, as you can see, you have a bolt in the front and you have this bolt in the back. This tool is your best friend when you're working with that. There's a head on it, which once you get up under the car, it'll lay right on the bolt, break it free in the back, and you're good to go. Once you get all that loose, get the bracket off, self-explanatory. Just slide everything forward. Slide your sway bar bushing out and around, it'll pop right on out. I think I got my bushings for $50. I was not going to say I was in a rush, but I needed my car back, and I really did not want to wait for the polyurethane. So maybe in a couple years I'll probably get back up here and put polyurethane under there, because I will be doing the back in a little while. But one thing I did read on the forum, that it says tire wear is one symptom to check when I guess as far as the back with your bushings and everything. I didn't have any tire wear. I've had my car for 2-3 years. These are the same tires and they're still perfect. They were brand new pretty much when I got them, and they're still pretty much brand new. I can stick my finger down in them. So I didn't have the tire wear like some of the posts that I read. But back to this. So with that being said, I did pop my bolt out right here. Now this bolt comes straight up, and even if you drop the subframe, there's not enough room for this bolt to just come out freely by itself. What it's going to do is going to come up and it's going to start going this way. No matter how, even if you take that front bolt out, no matter how you wiggle this or move this control arm, this bolt is not going to come out. In my case, I don't know. Someone may be able to correct me. But once I got it up to a certain point, I just took a long screwdriver and a rubber mallet and tapped it on out. It did give me a little bit of damage, but not any dents. All that it did was just this little damage right here. So, pop that out. Put my bushing back in. Let me get back to this. I apologize. Put a little bit of grease on your bushings. Not a lot, just a little bit. Slide it back on. Hand tighten these bolts back in. Once you get them hand tightened in, then you can use your tool to tighten down. What I did was I tightened the front down to a certain point, then I tightened the back down to a certain point, and I was just going back and forth until they started feeling tight. Then I just got my torque sheet and I just torqued them down to where they're supposed to be. My rear control arm bolt, I ran the bolt up through the bottom instead of the top, how it came out. I ran mine up through the bottom. Got a buddy of mine that works on Jaguars. He has a car shop where he works on Jaguars, and I told him what I was doing, and he told me that was perfectly fine. It shouldn't make a difference. But I did put a washer on the bottom of this bolt here. Here's a washer under here, and I'll tighten it down to the specs. Now the thing is, once you get everything back together, you have to tighten the subframe back up first. Do not try to tighten all of this up and then tighten the subframe. So tighten your subframe bolts back up, then tighten your control arm back up, and pop everything back together, your end links, and put your brakes back on and everything. You're good to go. I did replace my end links. Now on Mod Performance, they're going to show the exact same end link that's originally on the car. So I ordered them. I think it was like 40 bucks, 45 bucks for one. Oh, it might not. Yeah, about 40 bucks for one. But when they got here, they were metal. I did have some, worries about it, but in my head, I'm thinking this is metal and it's a little bit stiffer. So I just went on to put them on. You do have to grease them. They have the attachments for you to grease them on. So I did grease them, got everything put back together, and I noticed a very big difference as soon as I got behind the wheel of my car and started driving. It was very stiff. It responds very well. Okay, there we go. It's kind of blurry for a second. I had to fix that. All right, but everything I ordered is from Mog. I ordered Mog lower control arms, Mog end links. I think I paid $160 for both of my control arms. I paid like 80 bucks for both the end links. Like I said, I paid like 50 bucks for the sway bar bushings. I mean, you can go on eBay and you can probably find that stuff a little bit cheaper. I've always had this old saying, you get what you pay for. So you want to buy a $40 part, and that's a decision you have to make. But I did do both sides, so both sides are good. Also, I'm replacing my upper and lower radiator hose. As you can see, I already got everything taken apart. I got this part out so far. The reason why I haven't got this part out is because when I was up under my car, unloosening everything, look what came in, my new part. So, this is my whole new upper radiator replacement, which I did get from eBay. But what I did was I found out the manufacturer and did some research on it, and they got pretty good reviews, so I was happy with that. So I paid $108 for that. Now you can go online and you can get this hose, you can get this hose, I want to say for like 45, in between 45 and 50 bucks. I shopped around for a new thermostat and thermostat housing for my car, and I want to say it's like 60 bucks at AutoZone and Advance and Napa. So when I did the math, I was like, I can just go on and get a whole new replacement for $108 rather than buying it piece by piece and trying to reuse this, because this right here doesn't look good to me. And if you look down there, you got a bunch of gunk and stuff down there. So I went on and just spent $108. And like I said, I ordered it Friday, and it just pulled up to my yard today while I was popping this off, getting ready to get myself ready to put it on. All my hoses came off fairly easy. I did do some research. A lot of people said these hoses are pretty hard to get off, but you know, like I said, mine came off fairly easy. I didn't have any problems with it. I haven't tried to tackle the lower radiator hose yet. I'm still doing I'm still doing a little research on taking it off properly so I don't damage my radiator, but I'm also waiting for my lower radiator hose to come in so I can see what it looks like, so I can, you know, figure out how to take it off without damaging my radiator. I've already replaced my expansion tank hose. I had to replace my radiator because I was getting fluid buildup down here. Oh, that's from when I changed this hose out the other day. I also had to change this out. This was 90 bucks. Now I know I could have got it somewhere else for 40, 45 bucks, but I needed it in my hand that day, so I went on and paid the 90 bucks for it. Because what it is I had a small little crack, which there is a video on YouTube that talks about this. This is not the one that came off, but this is what it looks like. And if you have it setting like this, and you go to close your hood, over time your hood will keep, from what I'm reading, over time the more you close your hood, it'll just keep pushing down until it eventually snaps. That's what happened to me. So I paid 90 bucks for this, and I just went and bought this. I had this little piece, this normal clip laying around. I just put it on there so I can just eliminate that problem altogether. Other than that, like I said, they were my oil pan gasket. That's it. Now, that's why I saved this part for last. Whenever you're working on your vehicle, make sure you have safety glasses. Make sure you have your stands secure. Normally I have another stand back there for like a backup, but I'm just under my car long enough to get this hose off. But when I had it up for my oil pan gasket, I had a couple stands under there, and just to make myself feel better. So let's start with this part right here. If you cannot commit to drilling this hole right here, this is the option that I chose. If you cannot commit to drilling this hole right here, do not take anything else. Do not take anything apart under here. Just take it to the shop. I'm going to pay the $900 to $1,100 to put on the $25 part, and you're good to go. Okay, with that being said, take your time drilling this hole. All right, once you get that hole drilled, you're pretty much good to go. You got your bolts that run around. You got a few brackets. You have a bracket here that you need to take off, which goes up to the side. So you're going to need to take off your splash guard and your wheel well on your passenger side. You have a bracket right here attached to your catalytic converter. Take this bolt out. Take this bolt out right there and unloosen this bolt. And you'll be able to swing this bracket out of your way. Retighten this bolt, and that bracket will stay right there. So once you get that right there, you're good to go. Your next thing is this bolt. This bolt holds your exhaust pipe to your catalytic converter. Undo this bolt right here, tap on it a little bit, and all this bottom will come loose. Don't tap on the bottom and try to get it to pop up, because it's locked in. You want it to stay locked in on the top, so it makes it easier when you go to tighten this back down. So just tap on this a little bit with a rubber mallet until just the nut and this little bottom piece breaks free. Back here, I know it looks a little ghetto, but I will be taking it to a buddy of mine that works at an exhaust shop, and he's going to take care of this for me, because I did not want to cut my bolts, but I tried to tap them. I spent like 2 days messing around with these two bolts. Like I said, I wasn't in a rush. I had some days off. Spent 2 days messing around with this bolt right here. These bolts right here. Finally, I cut them. Took my drill, got me some metal drill bits, and drilled through. I still didn't even get the bolt out of there after I cut it. I still couldn't. I had to drill through it. So what I'm gonna do is get my buddy to drill a bigger hole, put me a bigger and sturdier bolt in there for me, and I'll be good with that. Once you get all that done, you have, I want to say, it's a few bolts. You got to take this plate off to get to these 2 bolts. You have your bolts running from your AC compressor, which my AC compressor is starting to leak, but it's November and it's about to be winter time, so I'll worry about that in a couple months here. Now this, it's a little round stubby at the front of your oil pan. From all the research I've done, I can't find what this is for and why this is here. So I'm going to say because Jaguar wants you to spend more money. What I did, and I read doing my research, cut this off. I took a file, filed it down a little bit. So after you cut it off, you're going to find this little hole in here. I got this liquid metal filler I'm going to end up putting in there. It doesn't leak or anything, but I don't know. It just looks kind of suspect to me. Cut that off. Now, with your exhaust pipe, what you're going to do is you're going to take a little piece of wood and a rubber mallet and tap on this little corner until the front starts sliding out. Once the front slides out from here to about right here, you'll notice the back is out. Take your time and wiggle it, and the back will come down first. Fold the back all the way down to where it's here, and then you can just wiggle it back and forth. It'll slide right off. I will recommend getting under here a day before, 2 days before, and getting some PB Buster, Nut Buster, whatever you want to call it, and spray everything that you're going to have to undo, because most of these bolts have not probably been undone. Well, I'm going to say with mine, haven't been undone since the car was probably put together. So if you can't commit to this hole right here, leave your oil pan alone. Okay. Take your time with a lot of this stuff. Don't be in a rush. Don't think, oh, I've done this before and I can knock this out. That's not the case. No. I did, like I said, I've done a lot of work in my car. I've taken time. Actually, control arm, sway bar bushings, and oil pan gasket took me 2 weeks. The reason why it took me 2 weeks because I would get to a certain point to where I can either get frustrated and start banging on it and tear something up, or I can just do a little bit more research and figure if I skipped a step or not. And more than 9 times out of 10, I skipped a step. I was thinking that I can bypass this to get to that. Like after I got everything done, I had to go back and undo my subframe. So just take your time and do this work. My little frustrating project that I did, so when I got frustrated with working on my car, was I wanted to pull apart, and I found a XJ8, perfectly good grill, still had the mesh inserts in it. So what I did was I popped all of mine out and I shaped this mesh insert. So what this project was when I got frustrated with certain points in my car, I would just come over here and start cutting off my screen and shaping it, and it came out pretty good. It was pretty good on there. So that's what it looks like. Like I said, I hope this helps people out with they got any of these projects that they're doing. The main thing I can just suggest is take your time. Don't be in a rush. I mean, if you need it done quickly, take it to a shop. You just want to take your time and get it done and done right, then do it yourself. Then go ahead. I mean, when you do a lot of research on it, it sounds hard. It sounds like a lot, but once you start getting into it, you'll see that it's just basic common sense things. I am mechanically inclined. I work on a lot of my stuff. But foreign cars, I worked on Volkswagens, I worked on my Jag, I worked on a few other foreign cars, and they can be funny. So I would suggest just taking time, make sure you do everything right, and you'll be good to go. So I hope this video helps you all out, and thanks again for watching.